Yes, you see the decked out gear. You know what time it is. And if you're listening, you're going to know here in a second. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Straub Bros Sports Show. I'm Big Bro Ken. Little Bro, how are we doing?
We are doing good. Obviously, I'm not as decked out as you, but that is because I'm in the middle of packing everything. So I can't find my jersey right now, but I'm wearing the hat. I'm representing. I got the orange here. So we're doing good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. A big ups. Thank you for joining us this week here on the 216 Sports Network. Speaking of the 216 Sports Network, you can find us on Facebook. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. You can find us and the rest of the lineup here. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. Spoiler, coming soon. The Jay Rich Show with Jay Rich. Rico McGee with the Ruler's Minute, coming soon. Outside Interference, and the Straub Bros Sports Show. The Straub Bros Sports Show, you can find us all over the place. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Twitter, X, at Straub Bros Sports. And you can find us on Spotify, where you can catch up on anything you have missed. One of the things you would have missed so far is the championship episode of Crunch Time that I did. A big shout out to those guys for coming on the show. I'm going to give that full shout out here in a second. As always, now going forward for the past couple of weeks, a big shout out to our guy Austin Fink, my guy over at Create Your Own Wave. You can follow them on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021. Also, you can find the merch at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. There are things. The chef is preparing ingredients. That's all I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The chef is my guy, Austin, and the ingredients are there. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. I'm not allowed to discuss anything else. I also want to shout out to KZ Productions for letting us post into their YouTube and Facebook page today. They were also the ones who let me use their beautiful set for that championship episode of Crunch Time. It was a great episode. Check it out. You can find it on our Spotify. You can check it on the 216 Sports Network's Facebook and YouTube page. Shout out to the Crunch. Shout out to Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jacob Roberto, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Omar Najjar, and co-owner Ryan Ruiz for joining me and Mel. Cleveland Crunch, your 2024 MLIS champions. Yes, Cleveland, as always, City of Champions. All right, bro. So what we're going to do, obviously, everybody sees this decked out. Everybody knows what time it is. Listen, I not only brought out Aikman, okay, but just to piss all you people off, I brought out Romo too, okay? Oh, wrong side. Sorry. I brought out Romo too. So it's our NFL draft special. We are going to talk heavy draft. I'm going to be as serious about an episode and my takes and my backup or my stats, and I'm going to back them up probably more passionately today than I have in any other episode before, because I have spent weeks working on these notes and this stuff preparing for this draft. Bro's just going to come in here and trade everybody and just talk about Kansas City taking a quarterback in the first round. No. But he's going to have some fun, way more fun stuff than I will, because I'm full Mel Kiper. Okay. I could do next year's draft at this point. I have done so much draft. Let me hit the shares on some stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to hit our news first. Okay. And our news is going to take form of kind of all of the other segments that we would hit today. So we're going to start with our Cleveland Cavaliers. Bro, they are on fire. They are up 2-0 on the Magic right now. Talk to me a little bit.
Yeah, man, listen, absolutely stifling defensively. They're holding Orlando to like about 84.5 points per game. However, they're only scoring about 96.5. And so while I am really excited that we're kind of getting off to a better start than we did last year in New York, there is still some areas for concern, just because these kind of great performances will win them this series if they continue to play like this. But there is going to be an issue when you get to either Boston or Miami in the next round, and you have to deal with these guys that are not going to just put up 84.5 points per game. They're going to put up on 100. They're going to put up 110, and you got to be able to keep up with them scoring-wise. So right now, doing a good job, but let's hope we get our offense a little bit moving, a little bit more going into the next round. But regardless, great so far. Donovan Mitchell doing great. Jared Allen doing great. Evan Mobley doing great. But let's get the offense moving a little bit more.
I can't. You're doing the pump the brakes already. That's hilarious.
It's a Cleveland in me, you know.
No, it's the Cleveland Browns fan in you. I am gonna say this though, okay? And like Mom was saying, they were on fire, giving us a shout out. Thank you, Mom. We appreciate you, as always, and everybody else that's rocking with us tonight. I already knew he would be here to say that. Darius Garland with a thumbs down. You know how Nick feels about that. I do want to back up. Listen, the intensity and the defense is there right now, and that is something that we criticize this team for not having in the playoffs. So I'm gonna make you pump the brakes on your pump the brakes, because that is something that they are doing. Get my Notre Dame plushie out of the screen there. Outshooting them 44% in game 1, 42% from 3, okay? While holding the Magic to 33% and 22% from 3 in game 1, 36 and 26 respectively in game 2. You play defense like that, and big shout out to that guy. Like
Lights aren't too bright this time.
Big shout out as Ray's thrown in the Jared Allen with the flowers, and Ray was the one who I think I'm going to give Ray credit for a post. Man, if this ain't yours, so you're getting it anyways. But talking about, we got to give Jared Allen his flowers like right now. Yeah, so big shout out to Jared Allen. Big shout out to the Cavaliers. Take care of the – listen, you won 2 at home, though.
Yeah.
You're supposed to. We'll keep it up. Finish it up. See, it was Ray. Sorry, Ray, 'twas me. Finish the job. And we'll continue to have this. This is only game 2. These are 7-game series for a reason. So let's see what happens. 1 Cleveland down. Now it's time. Now the Cavaliers are on fire. If the Cavaliers are on fire, then the Guardians are. I can't even tell you right. Inferno. Right. It's time to guard the land, baby. It's time to run through your Guardians real quick. I mean, dude, this 17-6, best record in Major League Baseball. Steven Kwan hitting amazing. Above, I know he dropped
351.
351. He said, I know he dropped. He had an offer. Josh Naylor, 6 home runs. Hey, Ken, there's where your home runs are coming from. He also, and I do Red Hot Magma. Red Hot Magma. That is your Cleveland Guardians. Josh Naylor leads the league in the most important stat that you could possibly lead the league in, and that is bats off of the helmet after a home run. So big shout out to Josh Naylor. I mean, talk to me, bro.
Yeah, no, this is not at all what we expected. The bats have stayed hot since the last time we've talked about them. Plus 55 run differential, first in the majors. They're 7th in team batting average. Like I said, Quan is hitting 351. They're middle of the pack in terms of home run, which in our case is a positive considering they were dead last year in home runs.
100%.
So this is all going great. And I will say, while there are some struggles in the pitching staff, McKenzie and Carrasco especially, overall, they are keeping it together for this team to stay in every single game that they are in. Now, obviously, if McKenzie and Carrasco, we're going to give them time to figure it out, especially McKenzie. But the nice thing is we have, obviously, unfortunately, the news of Gavin Williams going to be out for at least another week with an elbow issue. But once Gavin Williams comes back, once Davion Curry kind of finds his form again in AAA, let's say Carrasco and McKenzie have some issues that are continuing into the middle of the season, you have those other guys that can come and support them and kind of keep this pitching staff from going off the rails. So there's a lot to be happy about here.
100%. I'm gonna touch on everything that Nick just jumped into it. The bullpen has been nasty. The pitching has been clutch.
Yeah.
The pitching has been clutch. Like when we have needed this team to get an out and put a 0 up, they put the 0 up. That is most important. Florial coming around, absolutely. Jimenez, no love.
One of the best gloves in baseball.
Oh, one of the best gloves in baseball, and he's been clutch. Then Ray put this perfectly. Naylor swings like the ball did something to him. The man is violent, and then the bat is just It. I mean, come on, like he uses the bat, like it doesn't. Like, he just hits himself with it. I love it. And yes, Classe has been lights out.
Like 2 years ago, and it's beautiful.
And you know what? Everyone, there was a lot of people worried about Classe.
Yep.
My thing would be closers have these kind of they have up and down years, and closers, I'm not gonna throw them completely under the bus, but they've been known to kind of try a little harder when the team is a little better. I get it. Whatever. I'm not accusing Class A of anything, but I'm just saying it's not a surprise that closers have down years when teams don't have good years. Well, that's because he blows all the games. No, 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 no. You're not going to do that to one guy on a baseball team.
It's
Yes,
also just confidence, just coming in from game to game. When you build off of that, and you have a team that's winning, that confidence is key, especially for like 1 inning pitchers.
100%. Shout out to Pops. Freeman's playing unbelievable in center field. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I get the bat up a little bit, but still doing
Yes,
great.
and that's okay. Let the kid focus. The difference was Miles Straw was a major, and I hate to pick on Miles Straw. Miles Straw was a veteran. Okay. I expect you to play your solid defense and get some clutch hits. This kid is making sure he's playing the solid defense. The hits will come as he gets more comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna leave that there. But yeah, Jose. I mean, I can't believe we've gone this long without talking about Jose Ramirez. But yeah, hey, that guy's starting to round into some real
4 home runs.
Yeah, yeah. The catching situation. I could do the whole show on the catch. I could throw the whole drafts away and just do something on this catching situation. Little bro knows this. What I don't understand is if you have, and I'm going to say that I'm going to beat this into the ground. I apologize. If you brought Fry in and Fry is catching, excuse me, fining all over the place, and you brought him in and he's catching, why is Hedges there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, if Fry wasn't catching at all, I would have less of a problem. But he's catching. So what is Hedges doing in between there? I know Bo has not been hitting like we all thought he might be. Or I'm sorry. I mean, he's hitting, but it's a mess. You're back. Go ahead.
No, the catching situation unfortunately has been a thing that we were kind of worried about this whole thing, because we were banking on Bo Naylor to have this breakout season, and he's getting there. He's doing his thing and everything like that. But when you don't have that solid catcher, you need to rely on a kind of a rotation like we're using. But the rotation that we have just is kind of jumbled and messy. And I think once we get later into the season, we're going to have a clear, defined role for each of these players. But I think right now is where we're trying to see what works behind the dish, and then we'll start getting consistency. So, and yeah, Hedges will be here inevitably, but
Eating on the pod, but the sugar did a dip and a rise and a dip. So I'm making sure I'm not going down on us. Right. You can't even hit a fastball.
You're not wrong.
Right. Hedges is not hitting. I mean, and I get it. I'd rather have Kev Betancourt. Like, I get it. I'm just listen. I'm as mad and as perplexed as anybody. But hey, Cleveland, stop. Like, stop.
We're the best in the majors.
We have the best record in baseball. Our lineup is hitting. I'm sorry, it's not hitting 1 through 12, but we're, you know what I mean. But I get it though. It is a spot that stands out very much so. But all right, talked our Cavaliers. We talked our Guardians. I know this is normally where people like to sometimes jump ship on us, but hang tight because the NFL draft is coming right at us. And yes, we're going to hang in with some footy. We had some significant results over the past 2 days. One of them being Liverpool losing today. The other being Arsenal winning yesterday. Do me a favor, throw up that top 3 for me, big guy. Boom. That is how it is. But as you see, one of the yes, good call, bro. One of the biggest things, hey, my guy is back, and he's gonna point it out. Yeah, Liverpool down today, but Manchester City with those 2 games in hand, they could, 6 points puts them, right where they need to be. But one slip up, Sean, and you're in trouble. Talk to me, Drew. Quickly.
Yeah, no, this is one of those things where you kind of just see the shark behind you and he's getting closer and closer and you have a distance, but he's right there. And so that's kind of what City is. Liverpool, brutal loss today. I honestly put them out of the title race. Arsenal doing what they can, absolutely demolished my Chelsea in the second half this week. Basically, all we have to play for is Europa now, but regardless of mine. So you have Arsenal doing what they can. Liverpool, I think, is out of it. And now Manchester City is sitting there 4 points behind, 6 points needed, or they're playing Brighton and Nottingham Forest, who are mid and bottom of the table their next two games. Those are easily winnable games for Manchester City. It's there for them for the taking. And good Lord, we said this is a title race, it was, but unfortunately, fate comes all the same. And your fate is Manchester City winning the Prem again.
Absolutely. I listen. I knocked Liverpool out, and Liverpool was knocked out in my book. I have no more words for City. We will dive heavy into this on a Football Friday or just a footy episode in general coming next week. Quickly, I do want to touch on the America. Okay. I absolutely, and yes, we'll give some here. We'll stop and we'll give some love. Like Ray said, can't wait till we have to mention Wrexham. I mean, yeah, absolutely. They continue to rise, continue to go, promoted again. Season 3 or 2 or whatever it is of Welcome to Wrexham. Season 3 of Welcome to Wrexham is getting ready to drop. But I want to touch over here in America, run through the MLS. I want to touch on some points. I'm gonna throw something to you. Give me something on it. FC Cincinnati 2, Atlanta 1. Good win for you, big dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see a win, but again, when none of your attacking players can do anything, that is a massive issue. But a win's a win. We're back up to, if I remember correctly, third in the table. So doing better, and hopefully we can see this continue.
Minnesota 3, Charlotte 0. The honeymoon is over for Charlotte.
Yeah, that was brutal for Charlotte. They're still in the playoff race. They still are at the table, and I think if they bounce back, they'll still be okay. But yeah, they were flying high, and it just crashed and nosedived.
Columbus 2, Portland 2. Haha, Sean, you can't have everything.
I called it out last week that I wanted one of these teams to win. And of course, they don't win. 6 draws in a row for Columbus, by the way.
And lastly, I don't have the jersey. I'm mad at myself because it's over on the other side. I can't get to it. San Jose 3, LA Galaxy 4. I told you we can't defend, but I've also told you we can score. Absolutely. So 100%. Your number one team in the Western Conference. Your number one team in the Western Conference, baby.
Vancouver has a game in hand on you.
Absolutely. Olivier Giroud signed with LAFC. Boo. And that will do it for your footy. We missed a piece of news. We've got to hit it. We've got to point it out. There was something that dropped or broke today. We should talk about it. Reggie Bush is getting his Heisman Trophy back. Okay. Yes. First of all, thank you for that, LA Galaxy. Shout out, Nick. But yes, Reggie Bush is getting his Heisman back. He deserves it. It should have never been taken away. Shame on you, NCAA. Shout out to you, Heisman Trust Committee, who reinstated it and said there will be some changes incoming to that as well. Yes.
Absolutely. I think the entire football community kind of was waiting for this to happen. We've wanted this I think we wanted it more than Reggie did because we saw how amazing he was on the football field. He also was, I think, sued the NCAA, so maybe not as much, but we saw how amazing he was on the field. He was an amazing player. I'm glad it happened. 14 years he's had to since he's had to forfeit that trophy. He gets it back. It's very deserving. Good for him, and hopefully he gets to have it as much. Kiss it, hold on to it very, very tight, and just enjoy it.
Absolutely. As Nick said, he deserves it. And then we'll let that one just kind of sit up there and we'll just kind of keep it rolling because that's what we do. Shout out to Nick. That was a good one. So yeah, well done, Reggie. You were an dude, dominant. As a Notre Dame fan, I also liked Reggie Bush, even though he just absolutely torched it. Ray has already yelled this to us in our own group chat. We want Pete. He wants Pete Rose. I told him to relax. We finished Cody Rhodes' story. We got Reggie Bush back in Heisman. The month of April needs a cigarette and a sandwich because it is exhausting. Okay. Just throwing that out there. So there
We throw a
that is.
parade in Cincinnati, by the way, if Pete Rose ever got it back into the Hall of Fame. This city
Oh,
would be
Straub
insane.
Bros, Straub Bros Sports Show on site for that parade. We're just
Yeah.
gonna put that out there. Okay, all right. Our last bit of news before we dive into this draft, and that would be our honorary Straub Bro of the Week. Your Straub Bro of the Week, brought to you by Create Your Own Wave. Don't ride the wave, create your own wave. Shout out to my guy Austin. Follow Create Your Own Wave at Create Your Own Wave 2021. Bro, we both have one Straw Bro of the Week.
Yes. Thank God.
Yes. Okay. That would be two of our favorites jumped into or were elected into the Premier League Hall of Fame. You go first.
Yes. So yeah, he is one of three members. Shout out to ex-Chelsea player Ashley Cole. He was the other person, but it was a while ago, so we'll leave him be. But the other person to make it into the Premier League Hall of Fame is none other than Chelsea center back John Terry. And it is about as well deserved as it could be, as he honestly on the field did nothing wrong. He holds the record for most clean sheets as a defender. He is the all-time leading scorer as a defender with 41 goals. He is a 3-time League Cup winner, a 5-time FA Cup winner. He is a Europa and Champions League winner, and he's a 5-time Premier League champion, including back-to-back trophies in 04-05 and 05-06. The first one still holding the record for the least amount of goals conceded in a Premier League season with 15. To give in perspective, the champions today give about 30 goals. So cut that in about half. As the banner in Stamford Bridge says, the three best words to describe John Terry are captain, leader, legend. An amazing accomplishment, John. It is well-deserved. Congratulations to you. That is my Straw Bro of the Week.
I'm not allowed to. I promised I would not make any jokes, and then you said he never made any mistakes on the field. Like you're just you
on the field.
You just set things up. It's just awful. What I will say about John Terry is annoying. Like every time you see him in the lineup, you're just like, oh, this is going to be annoying. And that's the best. And as a fan of a rival team, that's one of the best compliments that I can pay a player. The other person who was elected into the Premier League Hall of Fame was Andy Cole, former Manchester United striker, 187 goals, 5 Premier League titles in 8 seasons at Manchester United, and a treble, the first treble in English history without 157 sanctions in an empty stadium. Shout out to Manchester United. Shout out to Andy Cole. Those, yes, only 2, 1 each. Your Straub Bros of the Week, brought to you by new record, brought to you by Create Your Own Wave Apparel, CYOW apparel.myshopify.com, and Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021. Got that locked down, baby. Let's go. Okay. Absolutely unnecessary, 100%.
Not happy with you.
We will have you on when you win the Premier League, okay? So be quiet, Sean. You can have your full gloat and run.
So like 3 weeks.
Right. All right. It is time to do it. It is time to get rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your 2024 NFL Draft Special. Now, we will have 2 special guests today. Me and Drew are going to talk quickly. We want to do the top 3. And then as soon as we get out of the top 3, we're going to jump into the top 10. When we jump into the top 10, Rico McGee of the Rulers Minute is going to jump on and join us. And he's going to talk about his Atlanta Falcons at 9. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the mid of the draft, Middlesbrough Heights. And then when we get towards a little bit of the end of the first round, we're going to jump in, and Mel is going to jump in, and he's going to talk about the Steelers. We're going to then hit some other teams. I will talk about my Dallas Cowboys for the rest of the show. And then Drew and the rest of the comment section. Okay. Oh, and I know Sean will be in here too. And Drew and the rest of the comment section, I will unleash on you for your Cleveland Browns. So that's kind of a little bit of the rundown. So let's do this. I have more notes on the NFL draft like I do the entire show. Okay. Let's get into it. Drew, give me my first round picks.
Yes, let me
Put my
throw
screen
that
up.
up for us. Bang.
Handle your business. Okay, now let's talk about the top 3. Okay,
Okay.
Chicago Bears, Washington Commanders, New England Patriots. This is chalk, we think. The first 2 are. We know the Chicago Bears are taking Caleb Williams. Spoiler alert, everybody. Okay. But Washington Commanders, for all intents and purposes, for the most part, are linked and ready to go with Jaden Daniels. That number 3 pick is supposed to be Drake May. However, there have been some reports this morning, even, that New England could potentially trade out, move down, collect some assets, draft a different quarterback, or move down just slightly with Minnesota, because along with Drake May, another quarterback has shot up their board. But before we get too far down to that, let's just start with 1 and 2. You agree? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, right?
I do. So Caleb Williams, this is probably the easiest pick in the draft. The Bears only interviewed 1 quarterback, and Caleb Williams only interviewed with 1 team, and that's each other. So the Bears get a pro-ready quarterback. He has high expectations. He's got a lot of criticism. But if they can build around him and he can use that negativity to his advantage, this will be a pick to look back on that the Bears have nailed, which is a very rare saying that we say usually. So
before I even let you get to the second pick, Caleb Williams did the worst thing that he could have ever done, and it wasn't his fault. He won a Heisman Trophy, and then he came back the next year. Okay. The only thing he was going to do was be criticized. Okay. I heard this, so I'm going to give him some love for it. Has had his own since he was 18 years old, yet this kid has had not a lick of trouble. Okay. Not a single bit of it. Okay. So I think that is 100% fair, worth pointing out. For the Bears, this is no brainer for me, Drew, because you can only mess this up if you don't do this.
Yeah.
If you draft Caleb Williams, who everyone for the most part has said is the number 1 pick, and he busts, it's okay. No Diddy. It's okay. We move on. You try again. If you don't draft Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams is good, they're going to burn Chicago down. Okay? I'm just saying.
I completely agree.
Washington at number 2.
Yeah, so like you said, Jaden Daniels, I think that's the best pick in my mind. I think that is the one you're supposed to go to. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised there hasn't been more Drake May conversation, just because if you look at his style as a quarterback, that really fits Dan Quinn's history with quarterbacks. And so I'm surprised.
All right, I'm gonna throw him down for a second. Yeah. Listen, I don't agree with him. Hold on, we'll see if he's back there.
Jane.
Nope, he's not back. Jaden Daniels. I know there's been some go arounds with the thing for me. Jaden Daniels would be the number 1 pick. Oh, there he is. He's back. Jaden Daniels would be the number 1 pick in this draft, though, if Caleb Williams doesn't exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I completely agree. And he was basically the entire offense for LSU.
I want to take 1 second though. Shout out to you, Jeff James, Loud and Local. Absolutely, football talk in April, baby. It's the draft. Let's go. Good. Nick laughing at you, Nick cracking on you for your connection, because your last show in that building, so that's okay. So you like Drake May?
I think so. I don't necessarily like him as much as I like Jaden Daniels, but I think in that scheme where you are completely tearing down your team, you are in complete rebuild mode, and like that, it's weird they're not going for a more high upside quarterback like May and not one like Jaden Daniels, where he is going to be running for his life basically back there. And you've seen the hits that he's taken, is willing to take in those kind of things. That just worries me. When you go to the Patriots, you have a more of a solid foundation, so the scheme fits better in my head. But if we're talking straight talent, I think Jaden Daniels is very much the better quarterback.
100%. And I think New England is just absolutely nuts if they try to trade out of there. Their asking price is insane,
which makes sense.
Doesn't surprise me. I also agree with Nick that Daniels is the best quarterback in the class, and it's no disrespect to Caleb Williams. Daniels has just taken leaps and leaps and leaps, steps and steps. They remind me of just Joe Burrow. He continues to just get better and better and better. Rattler. We'll
talk about it.
Nick just got me excited there. So those are your first three. Now, I don't want to throw the board back up because we're going to be jumping back and forth to this. Arizona in here at 4. A lot of people are saying that they should take wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., my best player in the draft, my best wide receiver in this draft. That's only if you're actually sold on Kyler Murray. If you're sold on Kyler Murray, then that's fine. What I actually still think you should do is trade back 1 or 2 with one of these other teams that wants a quarterback. Because if you end up with Rome Odunze, if you end up with one of these other top wide receivers, you'll be okay. But if you want to take Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm okay with it. But personally, I would be okay with dropping back 1 or 2 picks and letting one of these teams come up and fight.
No, I completely agree. If you are sold on a receiver right now, you can take it. I don't mind taking Marvin Harrison. Honestly, I don't mind if you take the second best wide receiver in this spot. But if you are looking for a quarterback, if you're not sold on Kyler Murray, you can get a haul for that number 4 pick. And so, once you get past those 3 quarterbacks, there's a gap. And so 100%. You can wait. You can get one of those quarterback needy teams and force them to take someone that you might not want and get a haul for it and then load up. But if you are sold on Harrison, Odunze, Malik Neighbor, if you are sold on one of those 3, by all means, take this pick and do it.
I have them ranked in that order. I have it Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and then I'm sorry,
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors.
I have those flipped.
You're not gonna. There's no wrong answers here. Okay, there is none. We're gonna break down some wide receivers as we go. I mean, but Marvin Harrison Jr. can do everything a wide receiver can do. The yards after the catch stuff, I think, is overblown when his quarterback is not playing at Syracuse, the guy who was throwing it last year, and the other 2 guys had Heisman Trophy candidates. The big, strong, fast. There's no wrong answers here. If I'm Arizona, but when you have the Chargers following you, who also want a wide receiver, you have the Giants. Yeah. You have the Giants, who could go anywhere from wide receiver or quarterback. Then you have Minnesota sitting there. You have the Bears at 9, but you have Minnesota sitting at 11, who want and need a quarterback. The Giants potentially want a quarterback. Arizona, you're gonna be guaranteed one of those 2 wide receivers if you move down a couple. So, and the Tennessee wide receiver, yes, but I still think they're going to take the tackle from Notre Dame because he's the best offensive lineman on the board. They don't really need wide receiver, and they need to protect Will Levis. I think it would be wise for Arizona to at least entertain some phone calls. The Giants, I do want to touch on the Giants. I hope the Giants blow this. Sorry, Cowboy Star, just seeping out of my mouth. But listen. They need a quarterback. It's not Daniel Jones. I know one of these wide receivers is great. So if you believe in any of these other quarterbacks, one we need to bring up, his name is J.J. McCarthy, because I don't care what anyone else thinks. First of all, you heard it first on the Straub Bros Sports Show. And when I did my Rulers Minute Straub Bros crossover with Rico McGee, I told people J.J. McCarthy is going to be in the league. He's going to play. Guys believe in him. He can make throws. And now all the scouts are impressed with him. And he's shooting up the draft boards to the point where a lot of teams have him ranked just under Caleb, Jaden, and Drake May. They have J.J. McCarthy as your 4th quarterback. I know that's crazy to a lot of people. Okay. Craig says Harrison to Indy. He'd have to drop really far. Indy'd have to come up and get him. I mean, we can do it. Dad points out Minnesota having 2 picks in that first round. I know, if that's what I'm saying. Minnesota is the team to come up here and make the trade. Or when Minnesota calls, you put them on speakerphone and let the Giants hear what they're offering, because then the Giants are going to panic and potentially maybe make a move that they're not 100% sure of.
No, yeah. And I think, so yeah, like you said, you have Arizona, you have the Chargers, and you have the Giants, who are in need of receivers, but can trade with people that need quarterbacks. And honestly, which is interesting to me, because obviously the Chargers could trade up, and that is something that we could look at. The Raiders as well. But if you look at the teams between the wide receiver teams and the Vikings, It is Tennessee, who doesn't need a quarterback. Atlanta doesn't need a quarterback. Chicago just drafted one.
Yep.
The Jets
Don't need a
have
quarterback.
Rodgers. So, and then it's Minnesota. So, are we going to see Minnesota take and be like, I'm being cautious and trade up, or are they going to risk it and potentially let that fall out and see which quarterback they land? Because you have JJ McCarthy, you have Bo Nix, you have Michael Penix Jr. that all probably could go in the first round. Are you going to wait for them, or are you going to trade up and do that with these teams that really don't, any other than maybe the Giants, don't need a quarterback?
100%. But what you're hoping from, if you're minutes, what you're hoping for though is somebody panics.
Yes,
because once
especially
one of
if you're
these
those
teams,
top three teams,
100%. Because once one of these teams panic, it is over from there. Moves will get made just based off of that. Because Oakland and Denver both need quarterbacks. Denver has no leverage. Denver doesn't have as many picks. Oakland does. Oakland wants a quarterback. So you could potentially see that. We're gonna get down to those Oakland teams there. You mentioned the team who, in between all of these quarterback, wide receiver, just I need all these offensive players, sits a team who doesn't need anything. Panic in the NFL draft. They don't need anything on the offensive end because their offense is stacked and they just signed a quarterback. And to talk about that team, we bring in Rico McGee of the Rulers Minute to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Rico, thank you so much for being on. Before we even talk to the Falcons, you want to talk about championship rub when I was talking about the Cleveland Crunch. This guy right here put out an episode of the Rulers Minute the other day talking about the Ryan Garcia fight, and my man went viral. Up over a couple thousand views. Shout out to you, Rico. Congratulations on that. Always doing big things. Let's talk about your Falcons.
All right. Well,
you have the number 8 pick.
We have the number 8 pick.
And you don't need a damn thing on offense.
Well, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons went with Michael Penix Jr. at number 8 because there have been talks that the Falcons are really high on Michael Penix Jr. They've been spotted at his pro day. They've been in a lot of talks with Michael Penix. Honestly, though, I'm going to be honest. I really think Atlanta needs an edge rusher more than anything. I'm really big on Dallas Turner from Alabama, the linebacker. Very solid player. He had 23.5 sacks, 33.5 tackles his last year at Alabama. Also, like the corner from Toledo. You can look. The NFL is a passing game at this point. You can never have enough defensive backs. Listen, at some point, you're just going to have to go with about 8 DBs on the field at some point. 8 DBs and 3 linebackers. And then don't even worry about trying to get to the quarterback because that's the direction that football is headed in. The field is spread out, everything. So
Quinyon
really
Mitchell,
like the corner from Toledo.
Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo, a kid who shot up after the Senior Bowl, went to the Senior Bowl practice and dominated. Shout out to him, a MAC guy. That would be a great pickup. That's the thing you're gonna have, and I do want to point out because my guy Nick threw it in there. Need a number 2 there to help open up Pitts and Drake. Yes, and I get that, but this wide receiver core is deep too. Now you could throw everything off because everyone expects you. Because you have the pick of all of the best defensive players. None of these guys should come off the board before Atlanta comes in at
Number 8.
At 8. I'm sorry. Atlanta, too many picks. Before Atlanta comes in at 8. So you have everyone on the board. You have Dallas Turner. Oh man, I'm gonna mess this one up all day. Leto.
Leto. I like him too. Byron Murphy.
Yes,
Quinyon
Marshall.
We got enough defensive tackles.
You're gonna have your run of defensive guys. So you turn around and you take, I don't know. I mean, one of the guys will be there, whether it be maybe potentially Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, but you also have a 2nd round pick. You have that 43rd pick in the 2nd round, so you could also steal a wide receiver in there. Atlanta going offense would absolutely wreck this draft.
Bro, because it would piss me off to no because
which is why they're gonna do it.
exactly. They're gonna go offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But you know what? I wouldn't be upset if they got Michael Penix Jr. because he threw for over 4,000 yards his last year at Washington, came back big time after that horrific injury, and just wound up being one of the top players in the country. So I wouldn't be too bad. But Atlanta, you got to build on that.
After signing Kirk Cousins to all that money, you're gonna be okay with taking a quarterback in that first round?
Listen. Things happen sometimes, right? So I guess I would be okay with it, but really, defense, we got to build on our defense because our defense improved a lot from last year. Still didn't get to the quarterback as much as we would have liked to, but the year before last and the year before that, we ranked near the bottom of the league in sacks. We had no pass rush whatsoever. So drafting an edge rush to help Calais Campbell will be better. Would do the Falcons some good, especially on that front seven.
I know. I agree. And I get what Ray's saying here. If he's the future, only one chance to get him. And that's he's talking about Michael Penix Jr. And I understand that. I do. I mean, at this point, you're kind of in. Like, you're kind of all in. We got Kirk. We've got these weapons. We've got running backs. Like, let's go. What do you need? You need more stars, more talent on that defense. So, I don't know. I would, if I'm the Falcons, if I'm a Falcons fan, like you said, I'm going after the best defensive guy we have ranked on our board. Or the guy we didn't think would be there on the board. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, if a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Rome Odunze or a Brian Thomas, if one of those guys is there for you, I get it. But if not, I think I've got to start leaning towards my team needs. I'm not gonna lie. So I agree with you. So that's just the first pick. But Atlanta, you've got multiple picks with these Falcons. You've got one in the second round, you've got 2 third-rounders, and a 4th and a 5th, 2 6th.
Hopefully they don't take them from us if they find out that we might have been tampering with Cousins. So
I do have news on that. Thank you, bro. None of these draft-related issues are going to be solved before the draft. So everyone's got their picks for this year. So there's no worries there. Craig, Atlanta going to trade that 8th pick. Would you be all right with that? Would you be all right with moving down for another first? So to have 2 first-round picks?
No, I don't want to trade out of that pick.
I want a top 8 guy. I can respect that.
But you know what? I've heard rumors that Atlanta may trade out of that 8th pick and move down on the draft board. Now, I'm not sure what the mindset is at that point, but I really want Dallas Turner, and I'm just scared somebody's gonna get him before we get a chance to get him. Because Raheem Moore, we got a new coaching regime in there with Raheem Moore. I really want to see what he's going to do this time. For people that don't know, when we fired Dan Quinn after going 0-5 in the 2020 season, Raheem Moore stepped up. He was the interim head coach. Wasn't impressed with him then. Now, a lot of people have a lot of big things to say about him. I honestly don't know yet. We'll see what happens. But I just want to see, how he develops that defense, because that Rams defense was pretty underrated last year, in my opinion.
Yeah. And my pops is throwing this out there. What if the top defensive guy isn't the number 8 pick or isn't a number 8 pick? I kind of the only reason I can understand Atlanta dropping down a little bit is because you got the Bears right after them. They're more than likely taking another offensive weapon. The New York Jets, more than likely going to take another offensive weapon or an offensive tackle, followed by Minnesota. We don't even know if they're going to be there at 11 anymore. Broncos, Raiders, quarterbacks, New Orleans Saints, possibly the first time you get a team that's probably looking for a defensive player, although the Saints need help on that offensive line as well. Excuse me. Then we get into the Colts, Seattle, Jacksonville. So you're talking 17 into maybe 18, 19 before you get a team that's really looking for a defensive player. So you may be able to cash out. Rico. You may be able to move down a couple, pick up another first-round pick, maybe potentially a high second, and still get your top guy.
And you know what? That might be cool. I mean, Terry Foot. Now, listen, we got money, a little bit of money to play with this season, so We traded Cardell Patterson to Pittsburgh, so that's money off the books. We traded Desmond Ridder. We don't even have to give Desmond Ridder no money. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the draft this year. The last couple of drafts, they've gone with offense.
Yeah.
So
I
really
want
to see what they're going to do.
100%. And listen, because this is one of my my second favorite sporting event all year. I wish you this luck. I hope you are able to slide down and maybe grab one or more of these defensive players, or shake it up. Go ahead and get you a top offensive guy, and just wreck everybody.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right.
But yeah, and I agree with what Nick said. Penix might not make it to the second round. So, but we're going to talk heavy on those quarterbacks. But Rico, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about these Atlanta Falcons. Overall, like you said, you want them to take some defensive players, build on that defense, but get a top guy. Rico wants a top guy. Build on that defense, but get a top guy.
Exactly. You know, me and my friend, shout out to Ronnie Moody, who's also a Falcons fan. We was talking about it, like, bro, we need an edge rush. It's just, I watched, you know what game broke my heart the worst last season? Watching them and then Atlanta against Minnesota and Joshua Dobbs just lighting us up. I'm like, bro, we could have won that game if we had just been able to get to the quarterback. The second game with Tampa Bay hurt because they just couldn't get to the quarterback in the final seconds. If we could just create some type of pass rush that maybe not this upcoming season, but the following season, I think Atlanta will be a better team and will eventually be back to a force to be reckoned with.
All right. I don't disagree with that. Now that you've got the quarterback, we kept talking about that being all you were missing. Now you can build on this defense. Like I said, now I'm sold on it. I want to see you trade back and pick up both a corner and an edge. Find a way to get Dallas Turner and the kid from Toledo. Make it happen, Atlanta Falcons, from my guy Rico. Rico, big shout out to you. I appreciate you jumping on with us and giving us a couple minutes on your Atlanta Falcons. We will check in maybe. We'll see how everybody's schedule will work out, but maybe we'll put something together and we'll check back in next week and see how you feel about what Atlanta did with these picks.
Okay. I would like that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good luck this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And that is Rico McGee of the Rulers Minute. Make sure you check out Rico McGee on the 216 Sports Network and his own YouTube page, The Rulers Minute, and Rico McGee on TikTok. The Rulers Minute, like I said, his last episode absolutely going viral. Ryan Garcia in on that boxing. That's our guy, Rico McGee. Okay, now we've got some teams in the middle real quick. Okay, I want to hit on in the middle of this first round. Go ahead and throw that first round graphic up for me real quick. While you're handling that, you've got Indianapolis. You've got Seattle. Seattle, I think, is our second in this middle tier, real true mystery team, because they have needs on the offensive line, defense. However, there's also been very, 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 very substantial rumors that they like some of these quarterbacks as well, bro.
Yeah. However, unless they trade up or Denver trades out of that number 12 spot, I don't know if there's going to be a lot left, because you have the Vikings, who I'm thinking, looking at JJ McCarthy. You have Denver, who, honestly, if you look at the way that Sean Payton looks at quarterbacks, Bo Nix fits that perfectly.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders really don't have much either and could look at Michael Penix Jr. And so you have, the Seahawks sitting at 16, but 11, 12, and 13, you have guys the teams that desperately need some quarterback help there. And so if you're looking at Seattle, if you are truly wanting a quarterback, I don't have them taking one, but if they truly want a quarterback, you are going to have to make some moves to get something there, because I don't think you have the time. I
don't think this is a smart smokescreen. Okay. I think this is a not very good one. I think Denver's a smokescreen. I think they're secretly okay with their quarterback room. There's nothing about Sean Payton's return to the NFL that has proven me to believe that he's still this genius that I was told about. I'm not gonna lie, I need to see it. So we'll see what they do. Oakland needs a quarterback. So Oakland, you need to go get somebody. New
Las
Orleans,
Vegas.
no. And I'm sorry, I did say Oakland, and I even wrote Oakland down. Las Vegas, wow. Seattle, Seattle. I'm torn there because if you like some of these guys, you can wait because a couple will fall. Yes, JJ McCarthy is shot up, but Bo is still looking at a second round grade. Michael Penix has been up and down depending on where you see, who you see. But some of this depends on needs. It's not necessarily great. You could have Bo Nix at a second round grade, but if they're all going and you got to go get them, you got to go get them.
Exactly.
But there's other guys too. So we will definitely see what's going on there with Seattle. But then you have Jacksonville down there. Jacksonville needs some help on the wide receiver and on defense. I would see them taking the corner from Toledo, if not taking a wide receiver that's left over there. Then you have the Bengals as well. So you're going to see this wide receiver run. You're going to see these guys start to come off the board, especially with the Rams up there. Potentially, no, Locke did not look terrible. No.
But he always kind of goes in and out. So
right. Put that coat back on. Put that back on, Drew Lock. And I was talking about Seattle and Gino. But the Rams potentially looking for a defensive player to replace Aaron Donald, maybe in the quarterback, room as well. But there's a team just outside of those, right there in the 20th spot, who has a lot to say about the teams above them, because I think that's going to really, really kind of help kind of shape their draft. And that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, welcome to the show, the owner of the 216 Sports Network, the host of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the host of Outside Interference, Romel Thorpe. Mel, welcome to the Straub Bros Sports Show, my guy. We appreciate you.
What's happening? Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
So your Steelers sit at 20.
Right.
Okay. They have, and where are they, little bro?
I have some picks here. They it for some reason didn't get put into the slide.
That's okay. That's okay.
I got picks up here. Don't worry.
You have so you have the 20th pick. Let's start with the first round. You have some needs.
We got a lot of needs. You ain't got to sugarcoat it. We got some damn needs. Okay,
absolutely.
Let's start
now,
there.
Before you absolutely blew up your quarterback room, I wanted the Steelers to take Michael Penix Jr. I thought it would be a great place for him to land. I know I know Rico just talked about wanting him for Atlanta, but now that you kind of have shaken up this quarterback room with two guys trying to prove themselves because they're on 1-year deals with Justin Fields and with Russell Wilson, what do you want to do with this first pick? Do you want an offensive player? Do you want to try
First off, let's start right there. Screw the Falcons. Screw their picks. Screw the bird. Screw the new Georgia Dome or whatever you're calling it down in Atlanta. Rico, I love you, but screw the birds. No, seriously, let's look at reality here. The first part of the reality is Justin Fields' 5th option was not picked up. Mm-mm. So what that tells me is either one, the Rooneys do not trust either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Or number 2, there is a strong possibility a swerve could be coming within the first round. And what I mean by that is there is a big possibility. We all know the Rooneys have done it in the past. They are capable of doing it now. But there is a chance a trade up could be happening to where they get into the top 10, maybe even the top 5. And Michael Penix Jr. comes off that board. I have been hearing that around the Pittsburgh area. I'm not saying it's true, but we all know rumors in the NFL kind of go hand in hand with a ham sandwich. Anything's possible.
And you know what? At this point, we're the day away from the NFL draft. That's all we have. They're fair to talk about at this point because it's all we have. Now, you have a 2nd and a 3rd and a 4th. Now, obviously, when you move up in some of these drafts, you dip into the following year's picks for the most part as well. So you personally, do you want to move up for Michael Penix Jr.?
I don't, but if they're going to make this move, my only guess, because we're looking at reality here, The need is on the offensive line. We have no depth at offensive line. There are a few on my draft board, as well as Mel Kiper's, Pittsburgh Gazette's draft board, such as Troy Fatuanu, as you know, from Washington, and Jackson Powers are the top two because we need a center. My God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you looked at last year, the Steelers were among the worst running up the middle. It just wasn't happening. And in the AFC North, you have to be able to run the ball. I don't care if anybody outside of Rico, you guys, says that the NFL is a passing league. You still have to run the ball because there is no crackhead on earth who even knows football is going to throw the ball on 3rd down and 1.
Well,
Sorry, it's just not going to happen.
I want to give Craig a shout out too there because Craig is a Steelers fan as well. So Craig wants the O-line. I think the problem.
Yes, we have to shore up that O-line.
And one of the problems I think, it's not a problem because the
It's a
Steelers
problem.
are what I'm about to say. The Steelers are a smart organization. The problem that you're going to run into, there are a bunch of teams ahead of you that that want quarterbacks. There's a bunch of teams ahead of you that want wide receivers. And there's a bunch of teams ahead of you that want offensive guards. Tennessee Titans, possibly the Jets, possibly New Orleans. So you have, and maybe even Seattle, you have some teams that have some needs at every one of the need or positions you have. But here's the thing. Not everybody's going to go. Not all of the quarterbacks, all the wide receivers, and all the linemen. They're not all going to be gone. So I think one of the things that the Steelers need to do, and listen, I know you need offensive line help. I need to start to replenish my offensive line, but we'll talk about the Cowboys a little bit later. But the Steelers are the prime example at 20, best player available. Of those positions, who is the best on your board? Unless you are going to sacrifice some picks to move up. But in my mind, and this is somebody, and I know I'm not a Steelers fan, but I'm watching you from the outside. You're in somewhat of a still like not a rebuild, but a test year. So if you need multiple things. So you better really believe in Michael Penix Jr. if you're going to sacrifice some picks to not fail some other potential.
The reason I even mentioned Michael Penix Jr. was because Fields had a 5th-year option, going into the trade, and it's not been picked up. So is it a prove-it year for Russell Wilson? Yes. Is it a prove-it year for Justin Fields? Yes, but let's look at, again, we're telling the truth here. Just like Mitch Trubisky was, Justin Fields was a victim of his teams being dumb, and that being the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears did nothing to help Mitch Trubisky improve or Matt Nagy as a coach, and they did nothing to help Justin Fields improve as a player. So you're leaving players hanging out to dry with one organization. The other organization is looking at this, and he's just a victim caught up in what happened in Chicago. So I personally am not going to fault Justin Fields for this because maybe this year it pans out for him and they do decide to pick up his 5th-year option. Maybe Russell Wilson stinks to bed. We don't know. We won't know till September hits and we see it for real. But what I can say is the best player on the board is either Troy Fautanu or Jackson Powers for my need. That's what I'm going to say. For my need, it's either Troy or Jackson Powers because, again, as I said, we have to be able to run the ball in December, November, and even in January because, as you've seen, we've snuck into the playoffs the last 3 years. We've got to run the ball better, and you can't run the ball in that division without a center. Like Najee Harris's best runs came in between the tackles, but they were never in between the guards. If anybody paid attention, they were never between the guards. They were always between the tackles where he had an option. Could I go outside? Could I take this off tackle? Could I take this off tackle guard combination? It was never between the center guard gaps. And that's where you need to run, especially against the Browns, especially against the Ravens. You have to wear that defensive line down. So Troy or Jackson Powers are my top 2 pick. It could go either way, truth be told, because both of them guys were very good. You saw them, in the bowl games. You saw them in the Senior Bowl practices. You saw them, for Troy's case, you saw them at Washington in the national championship. It's just the need is offensive line. I personally don't care how you do it. Call the UFL. I've been saying that for years. Call the UFL, rent a couple of these guys for cheap so you save money on the books. Uh, call Canada. I don't care. I don't care. Just shore up the offensive line. The defense is set. Our secondary looks better than it has been the last 2 years. So I'm not really worried about that. Uh, our running back slash wide receiver room is improving. I mean, Cordero Patterson he's another 1,000-yard back. I know he hasn't looked like it in the last couple of years, but you got him with Najee Harris now, and it makes a difference because he doesn't have to carry the load like he did in Minnesota. So that takes the load off of him. And if you notice in the AFC North, having two backs has been a plus. Look at Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were dynamic. You did not have an answer for either one of them, especially if both of them were on the field. So having Patterson and Harris on the field is going to cause a problem for most defenses, not named the Browns or the Ravens. And thankfully, our schedule is a little more favorable than it was last year, to where it's going to cause a problem outside of the AFC North.
No, I don't disagree. And then Nick making a bold statement there. George Pickens makes a huge step, top 10 wide receiver. I do want to say something.
I'm not really worried about George.
No, you shouldn't be. Your quarterback room is already at its floor better than what it was almost at its ceiling last year. You made the playoffs. The same thing everybody said about the Steelers in that playoff game. Man, if they just had a quarterback who was competent, they might have won this game. You now have two quarterbacks, regardless of what you saw to Justin Fields in Chicago. The flashes of good play that he's shown and the actual season that Russell Wilson had last year, you plug those seasons into what the Steelers have already, and they're a playoff team.
Yes, and that's the thing.
So that's why I say this is definitely on kind of what the organization feels is the best thing. Do you believe Michael Penix Jr. is that missing piece? Then yeah, you go get him because that's all you were missing. Do you think Russell Wilson and or Justin Fields is the answer? Then you go plug up that offensive line and you help protect him.
And not to cut you off, I don't feel Michael Penix is the answer. I'm hearing the rumors just like everybody else is. And again, when you look at the Steelers historically, that is what they do. They pull something out of their hat every once in a while that makes you go, why did they do that? And then you see it and you're like, okay, now it makes sense. Do I want Penix? I don't necessarily want him. I'm not going to turn him away, but it's a redeeming year for Russell Wilson. It's been a redeeming part of his career for Russell Wilson. It's going to be a redeeming year for Justin Fields just because he feels like he got shit on by the Bears. And to be fair, he has a right to feel that way. I mean, look at I'm not talking about the Bears as a team, but look at the way the organization has done quarterbacks since they drafted Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Do I feel like, even though I feel like Mr. Trubisky should not have left as early as he did, but look at what they did. He went 13-3 his first year, won the division, made the playoffs, came back, 2 wins less, still made the playoffs, and they did nothing to improve the team. Justin Fields comes in, the team looks abysmal. He gets a couple of wins, they give him nothing. He comes back this year, he gets a couple more wins, he beats San Francisco, or has a good showing against San Francisco, who actually end up in the Super Bowl, and they give him nothing. You can't do that and expect somebody. That's asking a lot of any player to give them nothing and expect them to make the world's best meal. You have to have the right ingredient. Chicago does not at the moment. So I'm going to say, if Fields doesn't even ever touch the field and Russell Wilson plays great, that's great for both sides, because now, let's say going into 2026, Russell Wilson gets hurt. Now you have that ability to go back and pick up that 5th-year option for Justin Fields. So it's not a lose-lose situation. It's all right, let's prove it.
Right. So, and that's a lot of quarterback. And so you have uncertainty in that quarterback room from where we're going there. But overall, finalize. Offensive line, obviously you've been talking about So you, from what I'm gathering, draft perspective, draft war room, Mel's in there. The Roonies look over at him. Mel wants to fill and plug in these holes. Mel doesn't want to gamble.
I am not gonna gamble because I don't feel I need to. Like,
There you go.
just for the sake of discussion,
Yeah.
if I can get Jackson Powers and then say Troy falls to the second round at 51,
Yeah.
I'm snatching. I look, y'all. I know y'all hated each other in college, but y'all gonna have to. I'm paying y'all a shitload of money. Y'all better make it work.
Absolutely.
All right, and then after that, I fill in whatever needs are left. Wide receiver is a need I need to fill left. There's a kid up in Michigan, who's Roman Wilson.
Yep.
He's short, but he's a great playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I plug him with Pickens. I plug him with Patterson because, again, Patterson can play wide receiver. He just didn't as much as he should have in Minnesota. So there's a lot I could do with that running back room. There's a lot I could do with, you know, now that my quarterback room looks like something respectable, there's a lot I can do, and there's a lot I don't need to do,
Absolutely.
which is draft shit that I don't need.
Absolutely.
So,
and I want to get in. That's the smart move for the Steelers, is to fill in those gaps. And for the most part, the Steelers are smart organizations, and smart organizations do smart things in the draft. So that's the smart way to go. So I don't disagree there. Mel, I want to give you a shout out. I really appreciate you coming in and talking Steelers, coming into hostile territory with the Browns fan and holding it down for Steelers Nation.
And you got that ugly ass Cowboys jersey on.
Leave me out of this. I wasn't in this. But yeah, I know there's a lot of Steelers fans watching, just as many, not maybe just as many as the Browns, but there's definitely some in there. Shout out to my guy Craig in the chat too, a big Steelers fan. So shout out to you. Hey boss, I want to give you the floor for a second. Anything to promote and shout out?
Oh yeah, we'd like to thank KZ Promotion or KZ Productions for letting us be on their station. Have nothing but good things to say about Lisa Summers and the way she's operating business over there. The studio looks fantastic. We had the Crunch on last week, so shout out to the Crunch, winning their 5th star, winning their 5th championship. We got a lot of big things coming, man. I want y'all to just watch it, man. Just watch. We got a lot of things coming. We ain't gonna tell y'all, but just know they coming.
Absolutely. You can find Mel 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, outside interference, guest appearance.
First off, I don't host outside interference. Bob hosts outside interference when we don't send him out on our specific job.
I apologize. Mel has made an appearance on outside interference before. I apologize on that one. Good correction there, boss. Yes, absolutely. That's where you can find all of us on the 216 Sports Network. Thanks for hopping on with us, big dog. I appreciate it as always. All right. Yeah, I ooped it. I cut boss off. That's all right. He won't care. He understands. That was awesome. So we got the Falcons down.
Good insight there.
Yeah, absolutely. And two people who are passionate about their teams and they know what they want from their team. So I want to come this back up. So as we get to the end of this first round here, Miami, Philly, Minnesota. We don't know if Minnesota is even going to be there. So at this point, I really don't want to talk about Minnesota anymore too much on this section of the draft. Mel hitting us up. Cut me off, you're fired. Yeah, that's what I do, Mel. You know how I get it done. I don't really want to talk about Minnesota anymore just because like I said, there's so much uncertainty there. Now, Miami and Philly. Miami, hi, welcome to the draft. Welcome to the first round. You weren't allowed to have one of those. You weren't allowed to have one of those last year. Miami needs defensive help big time. To solidify that defense. They really don't need a lot of help on offense unless you're talking about on the offensive line, which they do need some offensive line help, but that's not like the offense works. The offense is good. Yes, you always have to protect Tua. But so one of these defensive players, I believe, is coming off the board from Miami. Miami also could be in for the running for a defensive for a trade down.
It's possible.
They cut me off. You're fired. Absolutely. Boss loves to throw that one out there. In his best McMahon voice, Nick says job openings. Yes. Stats coordinator, Ray, you're in. The hair's already long, so we'll already get accused of just stealing things from the Pat McAfee show anyways. So let's just get long hair Ray in here and just Like we'll go full third member of the NWL. But there's another team to talk about on that side of the draft. My turn. Dallas Cowboys, 24th pick. We have many needs. Wide receiver, offensive line, big
Hold
time.
on.
I forgot. I got a.
You got a whole slide, baby.
Got a whole slide, baby. Yeah, wide receiver, offensive. I mean, take offensive tackle out of there. Just offensive line and center. Center, basically offensive tackle and center. Defensive tackle, yes, and running back, yes. So, I am another kind of wait and see here for me personally.
Yeah, there's a lot that could go differently with you.
Center Graham Barton out of Duke, Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. I would be 100% okay with either one of those guys. Either one of those guys, I'm 100% okay with. Oh man, a lot of these mocks have us just all of a sudden just inexplicably just taking one of these wide receivers in the first round,
which I don't understand. I really don't.
I really don't either. So so here, I'm gonna play out what I want from the Dallas Cowboys, pick by pick, because I got it right here for you. I can rattle it off real quick. With that first pick, I want one of those offensive linemen. I want one of the centers. I want Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. There was a name you threw at me today.
Amarius Mims.
Yes. Offensive line, please. We build through the first round on our offensive line needs. It's what we've done for years. We've lost Tyron Smith. It is time. It's time to make that happen. Round 2 with that 56th pick. This is wide receiver time for me. Okay?
I can see that. Yeah.
So in here, Nick's gonna get this out of the way. Does Notre Dame even have 7 players in the draft for you? Yes, we could do it. We'd have to move up for the offensive tackle, but then we could go running. I'll get to that. But yes, Notre Dame, plenty of players for me. I want a wide receiver in the second round. Okay.
I like that.
If you need to package, if you need to package the 7th round with a third to move up, or maybe even the 6th, whatever, I'm here for it. Round 3, 87th pick. I'll get it on the record now. Okay. A lot of the mocks, okay, said Cedric Gray from UNC, a linebacker, was mentioned, but a bunch of us have us taking the running back, and a bunch of us taking Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, who was coming off of an ACL tear. Go get Audric Estime of Notre Dame, please. He's expected to go late in the 4th round. Take him in the 3rd round. Make me the happiest player or happiest Notre Dame / Cowboys fan of all time. And it also addresses a major need at running back. Okay?
Yeah.
We had a chance to take Michael Mayer last year, tight end out of Notre Dame, and we did it. And okay, I'll let it go. I will not let it go this time. Take Audric Estime in the 3rd round. Get us a wide receiver. I don't care which one of them is left. Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. I don't care. I'm scrolling down to find my wide receivers. Hold on 1 second. I don't even need you to stall for me. Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Go get a wide receiver in the 2nd round. Get me that. Then I want you to take the 5th, 6th, and 2 7th and either trade up for another outstanding lineman and another pick, or I want you to fill out the rest of this defense. That's what I want from the Dallas Cowboys. Now I'm finding my Dallas Cowboy notes. There they are. I want 5th round Rosengard Washington. It's a name I've been hearing. It's a name I've been looking at. And then if we're not going to, like I said, if we're not going to trade these 6th and 7th round picks, safety, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, the running back room is horrid. No, and there is some respect on Rico Dowdell, but we need help. We need help.
Hmm?
Round 3. Yeah, Ray. He says Spencer Rattler. In here. Go ahead. Ask the question. The elephant in the room. I did all my fun, nerdy cowboy stuff. Go ahead. Troll and ask the question.
Ken, with some sometimes subpar quarterback play currently, especially in the playoffs. Is it time to start looking for a replacement for Dak Prescott in this draft?
Yes.
And do you think it should be Spencer Rattler?
So we're gonna spoil some stuff, I guess, from later on, and I don't care. That's fine. I like Spencer Rattler. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be an NFL quarterback. I think he's going to be. That doesn't mean he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be a top 5 guy. I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. That could be Patrick Mahomes. That could be Baker Mayfield. That could
It could
be
be Dak Prescott.
Right, Geno Smith. It could be Dak Prescott. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine, Nick. Yep, you mean the highest paid salary in the NFL next year? Yep, Dak Prescott's. Well, that was supposedly why they went and got Trey Lance, right? Because we were unsure, right? That's what the potential was there for. I'm okay with it, depending. Like, if our draft rolls right, we get the offensive lineman we want in the first pick, or we get it with the second because we got a wide receiver that we really love, and we pick up a running back in this draft because we desperately need one. And you're telling me that in round 5, or I can package the 6th and the 7th to go up into the 5th and get Spencer Rattler or Michael Pratt out of Tulane,
Jordan
Travis out of Florida State,
FSU.
Yes. Oh, I hate you guys. Because you're just putting me on the spot here. Yeah. But see, and Nick said it again. Rattler round 3. No, I can't. We have too many real holes on this team that need filled in this draft because free agency's over and everybody's gone for us to take. If that 3rd pick is Spencer Rattler, I'm pissed. We need a running back.
That's
so
fair.
Are you trading a whole? No. So what you're telling me then is you're going to take maybe. Well, and I know I picked an Irish round 3, but he's mocked to go in the 4th. So if we need a running back taken, I think he's a better running back prospect than a guy coming off the an ACL tear. And I want to address this because that is incorrect, and I've said this for years. Jerry has the final say, supposedly, but if that's the case, my team would have had Johnny Manziel. Okay, Jerry has heavy influence, but Jerry listens. Okay. Jerry then will go into a press conference and tell everybody who he actually wanted to pick and throw everyone under the bus.
Yeah.
But running back is deep this year, and I understand that. But I want my guy. All right, leave me alone, jerks. He's a round 4 mock. I don't think taking a guy who is a need in the round 3 would be awful. I'm just saying. But if we do something where we go wide receiver in the 1st round and then we do something crazy in the 2nd round, fine. Go get Spencer Rattler. Go get Bo Nix then, if that's the case. Or I don't know. Go give me JJ McCarthy. Actually, wait. Here's the thing, guys. This is why, and it slipped my mind. I apologize. A lot of draft notes. This is why the Cowboys should wait. Okay? Because draft wide receiver, offensive lineman, and running back, then fill up the defensive end, and then in free agency sign Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman, and then I can just have a Notre Dame quarterback, a Notre Dame offensive lineman, a Notre Dame running back.
And
Let's go.
And then what? And then what? Are you miserable or are you okay?
No, I'm awful, but whatever. But I'd rather, you know what? That's like here. I've had so many years of the Cowboys just being really, really good, but never good enough to do anything. Let's go back to sucking for a couple years like we did when I was young, because at least I got to watch Emmett. So, I mean, hanging on there at the end. But yeah, then they stay the same. Shut up. The JJs. Yeah, just the JJs. Then the Cowboys lose to Clemson. Wow, just all your shots coming in. Kind of like your Ohio State Buckeyes keep losing to Michigan. Woo! It was only gonna be so long before I started punching back on all you guys. All right, bunch of clowns fans coming at me. Y'all leave me alone. Show me on the doll where the Cowboys touched you. My Lord. So that's what I want out of my Dallas Cowboys.
I like it.
The Dallas Fighting Irish doesn't roll off the tongue very well. No, it does not. All right, let's get out of here. Now, we roll toward the end of the 1st round. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Arizona again, the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs. Drew, give me some thoughts on the bottom half of this draft in the 1st round here.
Yeah, so obviously Buffalo desperately needs a wide receiver.
Because this ain't Texas, and it ain't no Hold'em.
And I think potentially Brian Thomas is there, depending on how it falls out. But a receiver will be there, and I think Buffalo desperately needs one of those guys, and they can't wait for the second round for one of those. And then to end it, I have back-to-back wide receivers going. I think San Francisco needs someone, and honestly, someone like Ladd McConkey who could go in different levels in Kyle Shanahan's system, I think is a pretty interesting pairing there.
San Francisco really need more offensive help?
No, but I think that is where they're going to look at. This is just kind of what I'm feeling. And then Kansas City, obviously we have massive question marks in the wide receiver core in Kansas City, especially with everything with the Rashee Rice situation. Adonai Mitchell from Texas. It's a reach, but I think it's a step in the right direction. They're adding a receiver with size, speed, and ball skills. He struggled with inconsistency using those traits, but if anyone's going to get those traits out of him, it's Andy Reid, and I think that's a great pickup if they get him.
Buffalo Bills, watch out on the move up. Once some other teams start moving around and they start grabbing a pick that they just picked up and they don't necessarily know how to value it, watch for the Buffalo Bills to kind of see what's going on here before we see what happens. I think they're a real candidate to move up. Sorry, the comment threw me off. 49ers, that'd be wild. I mean, they also need some offensive line help.
They do.
In Kansas City as well. Some other teams in between there. Arizona, will they still be there? The Green Bay Packers. By the way, who is Sean's team again, NFL wise? Oh, he's a Browns fan. Okay, never mind. We'll let you slide. Ray thrown in that he would play college football before he played the footy. That's wrong.
Also,
that's wrong because you play FA or FIFA. But that's all right.
You mentioned Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually really funny. It just lined up this way. Green Bay, obviously, picking one of the best names in the draft many years ago in Clinton Dix.
Come on.
I have them picking Kool-Aid McKinstry, quarterback out of Bama. And I think that's just an amazing thing. And it wasn't even planned. It lined up perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'm all for it. Colts fan for Anthony Richardson.
He's a Florida fan.
Oh, you're a Gator fan. Oh, that's where we found it. Oh, yeah. Mr. Manchester City and Columbus Crew, we found your weakness. No wonder you stays out of the college football section. You don't want no smoke, no Gator. Go Gator. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Kansas City absolutely coming up and taking a wide receiver. Baltimore and Detroit
up for a receiver.
Yeah, Baltimore and Detroit both looking for some defensive help. So I wonder if one will be willing to kind of make a small move to jump another, or but also you have to see what each team needs. Both teams need edge help. But Lions need also some other defensive tackle help.
So do the Ravens, if I'm being honest.
Right, but Ravens need corners. I think this is one where you take one guy, I'm going to take the other. But if you take the other, I'm going to take the other. So I don't think it's going to work out bad there. So any other thoughts on the first round?
I think, obviously, we all have our predictions. But like every other draft, one or two picks or one or two trades is going to mess everything up, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see because this is the draft to trade. There were a couple of the drafts where it's like, okay, we can kind of just stay where we're at. This is the draft to trade up for picks, and it's going to be fun to see the fallout afterwards, who panics and who keeps their plan in order and does what they need to do.
100%. 2 rings, because Nick said Kansas City don't care about receivers. Well, they do and they don't. And yes, they've had 2 rings since Hill won, but they won one with Hill. And man, it was a lot easier when they had Hill. And that's the other thing. It's been it's been weirdly quiet. And yes, Ravens. Good point by Ray. Hopefully Derek finally falls off for all your sake. Yes, in the AFC North there. Absolutely, you hope he does because I mean Baltimore is just kind of adding on defense. It looks like. However, watch out. They could be a sneaky potential if they want to move down into the second round for one of these teams who want a quarterback late in the first or want a wide receiver. You could see Baltimore move down in the first and pick up a defensive player and then still add an offensive weapon, which would be scary for all you guys in the AFC North. two teams now, real quick. So before, pump the brakes, Brown fans. You're gonna have your own little minute here. Before we get to your team, because you're one of these teams, there are two other teams besides the Browns that don't have first round picks. One of them being the Carolina Panthers, and the other being the Houston Texans. But we're gonna start with Carolina. Carolina has a lot of needs for a team that doesn't have a first round pick.
Yeah.
However, it's a little harder to notice. They still have all the first picks in the other rounds, which is a good thing. Is this one of these we just kind of stay put, or do we see Carolina as the sneaky team that turns 2/5 and a third into all of a sudden they're in the first round taking one of these top wide receivers? They also have, like I said, the first pick in the second round. So while we think some of these top guys are going to go, Marvin Harrison Jr., Romo Dunze, all the both kids from LSU, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier, a couple of these guys are going to be available to start the second. So do we see Carolina potentially make a move, or is Carolina going to hold put and just collect?
So if you're looking at your needs, right? Wide receiver, you don't have enough capital to get the big guys, and you can wait until that first pick to get the guy you want. Edge, I think maybe, but I think there's enough guys in that second, third round that I think will be good for you. Center, I think very similar. Running back, you can wait as long as you want on running backs. Cornerback would be the only one that I think you could potentially do it, because it's going to be in the late first round with a bunch of these people that maybe don't like what they see. If you want to trade a second and a third, or a second and 2/5 back into that first round and get a cornerback, if you were truly sold on one of these guys, that would be where I would do it. But any other position, I don't think that there's a need for it.
Carolina, you screw this up. Teams aren't going to want to trade with you, and if they do trade with you, they're going to try to just take you to the woodshed.
Yeah.
Just make your picks. Best available guy at positional needs. Take advantage of those picks. This is the other team I wanted to talk about. This is nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
This Houston Texans team does not have a first round pick, but they've got, thanks Browns. Thanks Cleveland Browns.
I was going to say, for all the ones that are going to make the joke, only one of those is from us.
Hey, that's fine. I was going to make that joke, so I'll let it go. 2 second-round picks, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh. I would take one of those 7s, one of those 6, one of those 4s potentially, and move up maybe into the third round again, maybe into the second, maybe even into the first. But if I'm Houston, just continue to just pick and draft well, because that's what they have done.
Yeah. See, I would say when it comes to Houston, you have the base. You have your quarterback. You have a good running back. You have good receivers. Let's start building some depth here. Let's get this team as solid as possible, because you have the picks. Listen, if you go, okay, your first, second round picks and then a third round pick, you like, all right, we have our depth where we need, and now we want to just get best available to see what we do. Then you can start wheeling and dealing. But I think you stay strong for your first couple rounds and then see what you can play with afterwards.
I don't disagree. Those 2 second round picks. Like, I really wouldn't move them.
Even the third round pick, I wouldn't touch.
Yeah, like those are just prime spots to just pick at what you need, because there's a tight end you can pick up here in this third, potentially fourth round, who after Brock Bowers, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. There's not a lot to go there, so yeah, and I can see it. I can, like, that's what I said. I can see
rounds,
them. I can see them making a move on those picks. I 100% agree. Okay, the other team without a first round pick. Go ahead. You, comment section, have the floor. The 2024 Cleveland Browns War Room. You are on the clock. You have, and I'm scrolling down here to find you. You have, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks in this NFL draft. Your first being the second round, number 54. Drew, you, the rest of the comment sections, what do you want in the second round? Not my quarterback.
So, in case I obviously cut out, I got the comments to give me, because I got a bunch of things. But I want to put this out first. We have to remember, this is Andrew Berry we're talking about, our general manager. Expect trades throughout this entirety of this draft. I would be surprised if half of these are the same picks that they were at the end of the draft, just because this man loves to just wheel and deal the entire time. But in my case, I think these first 2 picks should stay. You see our team needs. I'm ignoring those comments. Wide receiver, I like, but I don't think there's a lot of value where we're at in 54. I think they're going to go pretty quick. Tight end, there's not a lot until you get to the 3rd round. Same with linebacker, in my opinion. Your choice is offensive tackle and defensive tackle. And I think in defensive tackle, you have 3 really good guys. One, I think, from Florida State isn't going to be there, but you have 2 good ones. That is Chris Jenkins Jr. out of Michigan.
You in the comment section play for a minute while I take a break.
That is fine. You have Chris Jenkins from Michigan, and you have Michael Hall from Ohio State. Now, in my personal opinion, Chris Jenkins Jr. is your best pick here. He's a good defensive tackle that could become great. Playoff matchups against Bama, Washington, gives him some experience. He has quick hands and tons of energy to stop the run, and I think that's what you really need. Now, like I said, I'm not mad about offensive line first pick. Those are the offensive line, defensive line. Those are my things. Those are my keys. Quarterback isn't under needs. Please explain. I get you. I completely understand the thought process there. However, in where we're at, and specifically the picks that we're falling in, if you want Spencer Rattler, go ahead. If you think that he is going to be someone that can grow under Watson and can be, or even, not right away, but in a year or 2, I completely understand that. My personal opinion in where we're trying to be at and where we're currently at, I don't think that there is going to be enough time for him to make those kinds of leaps that we're looking for in a quarterback for a playoff now team. And so that's, I think, my issue right now is we're too good to start off like that. And I mentioned that before. As offensive line, I would go back and forth. See, offensive line is where I would spend my 3rd round pick. My 2nd round pick, to catch you up, I had Chris Jenkins, the defensive tackle out of Michigan.
I heard.
If he is not there, I would like Michael Hall out of Ohio State.
Okay. I want to throw this out there while you collect and gather. You held us down throughout that without no skips, and then all of a sudden I come back and you skip.
Yeah, maybe it is you.
I'm right. I'm gonna give you this credit, Cleveland Browns, and your fans, and you're now a bit unpredictable in a good way in this draft. The same way the Steelers, I'm like, you know what? What I do know is the Steelers are gonna do it good. They're gonna nail the draft because that's just what the Steelers do. I somewhat feel that way about the Cleveland Browns now. I feel like you're going to nail this in some sort of way, whether it's the best offensive lineman there in the 2nd round, or a defensive player who's dropped, or maybe a wide receiver who didn't get picked because some other moves were made, or a trade was happened. A player got traded, not a draft pick, a guy on the team. So I have complete faith in you making this work. I also have a very, very, very good feeling I end up seeing you somewhere in the 4th round where I'm like, wait a minute, what did you do?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, we took the 7th and this one and this one. And I'm looking at you like, wait, what? Huh? So I will give you this from an outsider's perspective. I no longer look at the Browns and go, oh, Carolina, oh, something like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do to screw this up? I'm kind of like, what did I say to you when we started filling out this draft? One of the things that I wasn't happy about is that some of our teams have similar needs. I don't like having similar needs as you anymore.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like you said, that going into the 3rd round, and you're gonna not like that he's gonna be on my team. I'm looking at Blake Fisher from Notre Dame, that offensive tackle. He's a tad late off the ball and inconsistent, but this is more for depth. And he has the time and the talent in himself to become a starter in the NFL once he gets ready. And so that's why I like him as my 3rd round pick.
Two things. Number one, if I can't have the Notre Dame players, I'd love for them to be here. So that's not true. I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Listen, there's never, ever a problem with taking a lineman from Lineman University. Okay.
Yeah.
We all right. That's never a bad thing. At least our organization didn't make a $4 billion stadium proposal. Hoof. But I don't like I said, I don't like having the same needs as you. Linebacker, yes, we both agree. Linebacker not deep, so that's going to be something where somebody's going to get somebody and go, oh,
Yeah.
hey, Cleveland Browns, I got a question for you. Dak Prescott, is it time to draft a running back?
I thought about that really, really hard but from what I saw and the free agents that we've signed, I think we're kind of kicking the can down the line a little bit.
From what you saw of him walking up the steps to smash that guitar, and he looked like Jim Brown was
Not
walking up those steps?
not Nick Chubb. I mean, in the sense of our depth right now, because considering we don't have a draft pick to get, we do, but we don't really have. We have bigger needs than that right now. I think with the free agents we've signed, we've kind of kicked it down the road a little bit to potentially wait for next year and to get a running back. So that's exactly, we're good this year.
Okay.
Next year, maybe, and I think that's where we're all kind of at. And
Hold
so
on. Jordan Travis, quarterback, 7th round.
So in my other picks, in my later round picks, like I said, I'm thinking there's going to be a bunch of mix-ups, but I have some guys who I think I would look at. One of them could be Jordan Travis if he is so far dropped down that we're like, why not spend a pick on him? The other ones, Nathaniel Watson. He's a linebacker out of Mississippi State. He's a little on the older side, 24. There's not really a lot of eye-popping athleticism, but he gets to the ball and tackles well, which is someone that we need. Another one, which I think honestly is one of the most interesting players in this whole draft, and I kind of just want him because of what he is, Sione Vaki. He is a safety out of Utah. He has played safety. He has rushed for 317 yards for 42 carries, and he has had 250 special team snaps. This is a guy that is a dog in every sense of the word, and if you get him in like a 6th or 7th round, that is a guy that you can throw on special teams to tackle dudes and get going, but also can potentially, if you set a running back spot, he's got experience there. So he's one of those, just like, he can do a lot of different things for you, and that is very good at the back end of a roster, which is what you're looking for in those later round picks.
I did not know we were picking utility guys. Excuse me, in the NFL draft. Catch him this summer, also playing shortstop, right field, and catcher.
I mean, that's what you do for like round 7. You look guys who can be special teams guys, who can potentially pick up like one of those kind of spots, and that's a guy who literally was a very big contributor to a Utah team that was stellar defensively and on special teams. That I think would be a good way to do it. I don't think Ford being
Nick saying,
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Can he hit? We've been overhead.
Probably.
Let's find out if the kid can hit. So okay, I see you, Cleveland Browns. All right, go ahead and get a quarterback because you need one. Listen, I had to do it. All right, you were doing all that to me. I was going to do it back. So that kind of wraps up your first round. Some of your teams outside of the first round. Real quickly to kind of put a bow on this stuff. I don't actually. I'm going to audible on us, bro, on our original plan. So I have a question for you. The first one is quarterbacks. Boom, quarterbacks up here. Obviously, we know Caleb, we know Jaden, we know Drake. Where do you think JJ McCarthy lands? Quickly.
Wherever Minnesota picks.
Beautiful. I like that. Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Do they make it to round 2?
No.
Bo Nix, LA Rams, collision course, scary for the NFL. Michael Penix Jr., anywhere that has a competent offensive line, scary for the NFL. Anywhere that will let Spencer Rattler chill, relax, learn the offense, and anywhere that will let Jordan Travis relax and heal could be scary. Yeah. And Nick brought up a good point. You know, most of these drafts only produce 2 to 3 great quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, and I understand, I do, but it's the NFL draft.
You never know where they're going to come from, too. Yeah, there might not be the 2nd or 3rd guy off the board. It could be the guy from the 3rd or 4th round.
Absolutely. And we were joking, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
By the way, the whole quarterback of the bunch, that's Bo Nix. He's the old one.
Yes, Bo Nix. And I mean, Bo Nix, a 70 No. He's not. It's not Brandon Whedon. He's not 20. I'm sorry, he's not 30. It's not 36. Absolutely. And like Ray said, it is absolutely a fit thing.
100%.
Chemistry, things like that. Absolutely. Listen, if JJ McCarthy goes to the wrong team, he ain't gonna be any good either. So I'd like to see Michael. I'd like to see Michael Penix get somewhere. And like I said, Bo Nix, 74% completion percentage, led the NCAA, set a record. So I mean,
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle potentially, yes. The Cowboys later rounds.
Broncos if they trade down.
The Broncos,
they're smart.
Right. Wide receivers. Here you go. Here's your top guys. I do want to point something out. A name we can put on the list. Nick threw it in the chat. I'll give him his dap there. T. Higgins has requested a trade. So has defensive end Trey Henderson of the Cincinnati Bengals too. So Cincinnati Bengals might be making some moves in the first round with one of those players, especially if you're one of those teams that needed a defensive player. Ooh, baby.
Yeah. I was originally going to say they needed some offensive line help again, but with all these, transfers, calling college football, with all of these requests for, trades and stuff, they got some pressing needs potentially now that we didn't really realize until today.
Absolutely. Your wide receiver, there's some top ones. They're stacked. Brock Bowers, as you see in there. Hey, lots of helpful hands. Absolutely. We appreciate you.
10. The
10.
Jets.
10 to the Jets. You think so? I don't
Brock
disagree.
Bowers.
I don't think it would be a bad thing. Brock Bowers is in here because he's exceptional. He's amazing. He is a wide receiver. In terms of just kind of being special, I wanted to throw this in, and I got to find this because this is just a great stat, or not even a great stat. A 1A option, obviously. A true weapon at tight end, 100%. But also was getting the ball in the slot and in the backfield at Georgia.
Yeah, and he can block too.
So absolutely.
Very George Kittle-esque, in my opinion.
And yes, Nick, I got 4 screens going at once. I absolutely missed it. So that's there. We know the top guys we can talk about are Marvin Harrison Jr., A+, Malik Neighbors, A+, Rombo Dunze, A+. I think we are looking at the next Diggs, Jefferson, Chase, Hill, Tyreek Hill. Like, this is the next crop of guys.
Okay.
Here they are. Because they're special. Xavier Worthy, 4.21 40 time.
Oof.
I mean, come on now. Just ridiculous. Xavier Legette, South Carolina, 7 touchdowns in 12 games with Spencer Rattler there. Adonai Mitchell, Texas, 0 drops this year. Huh?
That's crazy.
Keon Coleman, Florida State, a guy who's dropped because of Jordan Travis's injury. Can we talk about 11 touchdowns in 12 games and wide receiver / punt return starter there? And then Ladd McConkey as well of Georgia, 4.3 speed, good hands, same size as Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So, and there's one not there. I'm going to throw him in. Luke McCaffrey. Yes, little McCaffrey has the potential. Oh, we've got him in the sleepers. Beautiful. He's in the sleepers. Luke McCaffrey.
And if you can all notice the 4 Notre Dame players at the top. Someone sent me that list.
We'll get there in a second. You jerk. That's your wide receivers. Anybody? I mean, I pretty much covered them all, but
you covered them all. I just think Ladd McConkey is getting a little bit of underratedness. I think he is a first-round talent that needs to be seriously looked at because I think he can get open in all 3 levels. And so I think that is one of those players that, like I said, that's why I had him with San Francisco, is because he can be used anywhere on the field. And that is exactly the kind of guy that Shanahan wants on his team. And so that's why I think more of a fit than a need, but I think it's really good.
100%. One of which visit? Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the mocks have Ladd dropping into the second round, so it's also very possibly sitting there for you, Cleveland. Hit me with my defensive players stat list. Boom. There's your top guys. There's plenty. I'm not gonna lie, I invested a lot heavily in the offensive side of this draft.
A lot of good guys, though.
Yes, there absolutely is. Alabama putting out talent as well. Quinyon Mitchell, the kid from Toledo, I absolutely love. He's going to go in the first round.
Oh,
So
100%.
possibly is Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is Mel Kiper Jr.'s #1 rated defensive back.
Dude, he is in love with Cooper DeJean, man.
Absolutely. A couple of, Leitu is completely unblockable. The kid from UCLA.
Yeah.
We talked about Quinyon Mitchell shooting up at the Senior Bowl. Oh, Terrion Arnold. Can we talk about 5 interceptions and 12 pass breakups? Led the SEC.
Polished, like I think the polished cornerback here.
And then I want to give some love to Jared Verse, the edge out of Florida State. Okay.
Yes.
And absolutely, Nick, you're right. That dude is a monster.
He's professional. He's like a veteran presence there.
One of just my favorite useless combine stats. Jared Verse has like super long arms, and he still did 31 bench reps on the combine. Just a monster. That guy's gonna just push people out of the way. And Cooper DeJean. I mean, I'm sorry, I love it. I'll say it. Give some love to the white cornerback, bringing it back. Let's go, kid. Out of Iowa. He's gonna go too. You saw it,
and that team was nice.
Oh, absolutely. You saw it. There was a snippet there. Sleepers. Now, this is not fair because
What do you mean it's not fair?
Because I also gave you like 7 slots to fill in for any of the guys from
They were in order. That's what you put. You put like, listen, if you would have spread them out a little bit, I'd be like, okay, they were in order of just Notre Dame. I sent him a message before I sent him a picture of, didn't even put the school. I said, Ken wrote this list. Can you guess who their school is from? Because oh my God.
I'm sorry. Listen, I apologize. Okay. And don't say God when you're talking about my team like that. So you were supposed to put in all your Cincinnati guys too. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. These are guys that there's 3 of these guys are going to get drafted. Okay. John Baptiste, an edge, is absolutely, he's absolutely going to get drafted. Yes, parts unknown. You guys notice it. Parts unknown is his Mankind's brother. Wait, because what his school? I didn't want him to write the school up there because it'd just distract you because you'll see in a second. Audric Estime, I've already said I want the Cowboys to grab him. He's gonna go in about the 3rd or 4th round. I think he can be a starter in the NFL. I really do. Cam Hart has had some issues at cornerback. However, I want to point out 0 touchdowns allowed as the primary defender in 12 games this year. So the kid can cover and can get it done when it needs to happen. So give him some love there. All 3 of those guys are going to go. Sam Hartman, possibly a 6th, possibly a 7th, probably going to sign with a team in the offseason and be in somebody's camp. Sam Hartman holding the clipboard with his beautiful beard near you. Other guys on this list, like I said, Luke McCaffrey, Blake Watson out of Memphis, a running back who I think is I'm going to say this. Fantasy, and I hate having this because there's like 5 people in our fantasy league in this group chat right now. This guy is all of a sudden week 8 going to be like, wait, who's starting? He had how many points last week? Who's got him? Pops? Damn it. So we'll go with there. Ben Sinnott. Keep an eye on that name. That is the 2nd best tight end in the draft. Okay, so we know everybody's going to get to know that name. All right. You go first. You go ahead and talk about your guy.
All right. So, yeah, my first guy is Jawan Briggs. Now, there are a couple in there, but it is a longest of long shots that they're going to be drafted. Jawan Briggs has your best chance here. Jawan Briggs is a defensive tackle for Cincinnati. He was your senior. He was our super senior this year as a captain. Very, very undersized for his position, and that is why he is so far down. But his second effort to get to quarterbacks when he's rushing is absolutely phenomenal. He was a 2nd, 3rd, 4th effort guy on a lot of those plays. Just get into the ball. He also plugs running gaps extremely well. He had, I think, he was leading in tackles, maybe other than our freshman Dante Corleone, but always plugged gaps, never let guys through. He is going to make a team. If not when he's drafted, when he signs on. Very, very, very good player. The other guys, I really don't think that they're going to find a team, but I think Jawan Briggs has your best bet here.
I can't even get my I'm having comment issues. There it is. This is officially a Homer show. Nick,
I put one guy in.
Come on now. I'm the one who's we know this.
A 4.
I'm objective, but I'm absolutely going to shout out my guys. All right, Drake Rodriguez. Okay, why is his name up there? I am absolutely, and I'm giving full credit. This is 100% a shout out to Field Yates. throughout my research. Obviously, I was listening to First Draft a couple times, and he gave this guy a shout out. And the minute he said his school, I was like, oh, this guy's going on the list. So Drake Rodriguez is a defensive tackle who finished his schooling at Texas A&M Commerce. I don't know if that's different from Texas A&M, but Texas A&M Commerce. Okay, so Texas A&M Commerce. But he started his college career at Southwest Assembly of the God University. I think that is the best college name I've ever heard. I'm not out of Notre Dame players. I could continue to go. The reason Southwest Assembly of the God University is the most amazing college name you've ever heard of is a shout out to the hat that Straub is wearing. That is our grandfather Andy's hat. Rest in peace, Andy. He was a Browns fan, but he was a diehard Notre Dame fan. Whenever you would ask my grandfather who Notre Dame was playing on Saturday, it would be like St. Augustine's Academy for the Deaf and Blind, or it would just be some ridiculous, crazy name that also had a church in it. So, Grandpa, you didn't have to make this one up. Southwest Assembly of the God University is officially who Notre Dame will be playing every Saturday. That Landon asks me who we are playing. Yes, swag.
And that is why it's parts unknown, because I had no idea where that college was.
I had no, he wasn't allowed to know this one. That one was mine. Everybody stick around. The little sister of the poor. Yes, basically that's 100%. And then yeah, that's that. Wow, what a weird way to end it, but I've got nothing else. I'm drafted out. That was amazing. A shout out to Ray, a shout out to Nick in the comments. Yes, a love for the original Pops. Yes, Pops, shout out for you giving a shout out to your Pops. I gotta, before we let everybody go, so everybody stay in here for a second. I have to do a big brother thing, and I have to make a ruling because I'm not happy about something. Okay. I have one more Straub Bro of the week. Yes. I wasn't going to let you guys get away with just one. One more Straub Bro of the week, everybody. I've got everybody in here still. We have one more. Your actual Straub Bro of the week is my little brother. Little brother graduates Friday morning from the University of Cincinnati with his degree in aeronautic engineering. Right? I said that correctly. And then you have, that's it, right? Or no, you have a minor, right?
It's a minor in environmental, yeah.
And right, in environmental engineering. Little bro had that, our big bro had that on top. Getting shaky. I can't really begin to explain how proud of you I truly am, kid. That's why I have to read this. I wrote you a note, but I typed it out. You have completed the largest chapter so far of your life. I know it's weird to shower yourself with the congratulations from everybody, so I will take care of that for you. But I have literally watched, because I am 12 years older than you, I have literally watched you grow from the littlest of baby who I played soccer with, and basketball and baseball and every PlayStation 2 game that you could ever get your hands on. And if you ever need proof that me and Drew used to get it on the PS2, the logo is based off of that. Yes, with the PS2 controllers in hand. I've watched you win on the field. But this last couple of years, I've watched you not be on a field. I've watched you win at life. You are my winner, bro. 12 years older than you, so I have very much sometimes a fatherly instinct over you sometimes. But you're also my annoying ass little brother who questions everything that I do. You demand that whoever is around you bring an intensity and a level of perfection and a level of love that I am glad that, you have taken from all of us. And I'm going to take some credit for that as well. You love you some J. Cole and some Jay-Z, and that's all because of me that you like good music. You left all the bad things with me and you didn't take them with you. And that's what I'm proudest of the most. Well, no, that's not what I'm proudest of the most, but I'm very proud of that. D1 since day one has been not just a goal, it's been a lifestyle. It's been something that we used to tell you as a baby. I drilled it into you when I was kicking the ball into you in the basement of grandma's house and kicking it at your head. D1 since day one. And like I said, it was a lifestyle, and you have rocked the shit out of that lifestyle, kid. You went to the University of Cincinnati. You picked a 5-year degree and you have absolutely rocked it. You have worked harder than almost anyone I know, and I've put more work on you on your senior year, your most important year. I have added this work to you, and you have just done nothing but just knock all of it out the park and be an outstanding person. I know that you are about to kind of step into the real world in life, but you deserve your flowers, my guy. This show was the best gift that I have ever been given. That is not my son. The best and the happiest and the proudest thing that I could have done with this thing is gone into your room and shared it with my little brother. And it's really brought us closer. It's made our relationship grow up a bit. It's not just two bros hanging out playing video games and talking soccer anymore. You know, we've had to make some business decision, and I wanted to take this opportunity to use our thing to give you some flowers and give you some love. I am my brother's keeper, and he makes me proud in a way and in a feeling that only my son makes me feel. So Andrew Straub, future or here in a day or two graduate of the University of Cincinnati, you, sir, are the Straub Bro of the week.
Thank you. That was a lot more than I expected. I had to take a breath for a minute so I wouldn't start crying live on air. Thank you. No, thank you. I really appreciate you gave me all the motivation in the world to do everything that I've done, whether it's sports or it's this or it's school. And so I cannot thank you enough for everything that you've done and everything you've sacrificed to help me out. I really appreciate that.
And now you're gonna make me cry on air, and I don't care about it, so I'll let a couple tears flow because I'm a grown man. 2 claps and
thank you, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate that. I will. I won't let the ego get to my head. I promise. I won't let it change me.
No, not at all. I love you, kid. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for rocking with us this week. This has been an extremely fun episode. I want to give a big shout out to Rico McGee of the Rulers Minute, Mel of 4th and 15, and of here of the 216 Sports Network for joining us and getting in with us today. I'm going to fumble the whole end of the show now. That's okay. The 216 Sports Network, that's where you can find us all, Facebook and YouTube. Follow and like us on Facebook, like and subscribe on YouTube. That's where you can find the rest of the crew. None of my buttons are working right now, so that I'm going to need your help big time, Drew. Boom, I got one in there. Nope, I don't. There it is. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, Rulers Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Straub Bros Sports Show. You can find the Straub Bros Sports Show everywhere. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on X, Twitter at Straub Bros Sports. Totally throwing this all over the place now. You can find us on Spotify, Straub Bros Sports Show. You can catch up on everything from the beginning. Catch our episodes of Crunch Time. Catch our football, footy related, strictly related issues. Episodes. United States Men's National Team. All of that. Also, shout out to KZ Productions for letting us be on your page. Sorry for fumbling in here. I got that one in good. My guy Austin at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Create Your Own Wave at 2021 on Instagram. There's nothing else. We did the show Wednesday, obviously, because I will be leaving tomorrow to come see you in Cincinnati, sir. Straub Bro of the Week, Big Andrew. So from Big Bro Ken, Little Bro Andrew, as always, love yours.
City.